Clerk Pramod Shaw. For the record, it's Monday, April the 15th, 2019, Skokie Village Board meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The meeting will come to order, and the clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Roberts.
Here.
Trustee Sutker.
Here.
Trustee Ulrich.
Here.
Trustee Bromberg.
Here.
Trustee Klein.
Here.
Trustee Gray Keeler.
Here.
Mayor Van Dusen.
Here, we have a quorum. Next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda for this evening's meeting. A motion is in order. Trustee Ulrich, seconded by Trustee Roberts. Is there anything on the consent agenda anybody would like to have removed? Trustee Roberts.
Could you remove item C on the manager's report, please?
Okay. Item C is off the consent agenda. Is there anything else? If not, call the roll, please.
Trustee Roberts.
Aye.
Trustee Sutker.
Aye.
Trustee Ulrich.
Aye.
Trustee Bromberg.
Aye.
Trustee Klein.
Aye.
Trustee Gray Keeler.
Aye.
Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, the motion passes. Next item on the agenda is an awards presentation by the Skokie Fine Arts Commission. Chairman Andrea Siegel with Ann Tennis.
Hi. So not only are we in the safest place, but in one of the most musical, I voted for you guys. Right?
I hope more than once.
I tried. It wouldn't let me. It's also nice to see Nick up there. So the Skokie Fine Arts Commission is presenting awards this evening for Skokie Through the Lens. The Skokie Through the Lens is meant to be a way for amateur photographers, anybody at all, to capture a moment in time in Skokie using phones or computers, iPad, anything that they wanted. So I am going to read the list of names, and if you're here, if you would like to stand, these are the people who submitted photographs and have them hanging up out in our lobby. Linda Abrams, Carly Bacon, Stanley Cohn, Kirk Dan, Eleonora Delisha, Glenda Duger, Sabrina Emke, Rory Fanning, Gwen Hand, Carla Hoover, Luhan Jancic, Elizabeth Jordan, Boris Kagan, Lori Kaplan, Sandy Lawrence, Kimberly Mines, Bronwyn Mascara, Leslie Murphy, Phyllis Nutkiss, Ryan Reckenu, Jennifer Reed, Luz Romero, Pratap Sampat, Nancy Schmidt, John Snyder, Gail Sullivan, Janice Sunhara, Keith Sunhara, Ann Tennis, Rena Thompson, Robert Zamorelli. So can we give them applause? Thank you so much for your participation in this. I know we promised you a reception a few months back, but we've had a few issues, but never too late to have cookies. I'd like to give a special thanks to Paul Olivari, Paul Luke, Nick Wyatt, and the Public Works of Skokie for helping us put this all together. In addition, my commission members, Pam Garbarini, that are here tonight, Hope Samanoff, Jackie Moses, and Ellen Waxberg. So thank you very much. Is there anything else? Okay. So Mayor Van Dusen, if you don't mind giving us a recess, and then we could start a reception whenever you say.
Okay, let us first do the police and fire swearings in, and then we'll
Sounds like a plan.
Since we have an audience, let's maximize, it's an old political trick, or PTA trick, excuse me. In the PTA, we always manage to get people there by having their kids show up for a program of singing or food. Food was big with our PTA. So this evening, our swearing in of police and fire. But I do want to make one brief comment about the Skokie Through the Lens community photo exhibit program. One of the reasons why it's such a great and important program for us is obviously the beauty. You look at those photographs, it's art. It's just tremendously beautiful. But as somebody who is trained as a historian, I especially like it because this is the history of the village. And years from now, when people from the Skokie Historical Society go back and do a recapitulation of our history, they will go to these photographs because it tells it all. There was one photograph that had the honor guard in it. And I think that just tells us everything about what our community is like, how it's changed in a positive way. And I want to thank Andrea, her commission, for all of the hard work that they put in. And I think, Andrea, you've been with the commission 32 years, 34 years. I missed 2 years there, so thank you. And in a celebratory follow-up, Commissioner Helene Levine of our Board of Fire and Police Commissioners will do the honors for us this evening.
Good evening. Mayor Van Duzen, trustees, Police Chief Scarpelli, Interim Fire Chief Hoffleck, and all of us who are here on this very special evening. I want to especially acknowledge the family and friends of tonight's inductees. You must be so proud, and you should be proud. Tonight we are here for the swearing in and promotion of our newest fire lieutenant and 2 new police officers. As we must never forget that the men and women who serve as first responders deserve our admiration. They are often the first on the scene of a tragedy and provide security and comfort to those who suffer. I would now like to share a poem that I entitled, To Our First Responders. You are compassionate women and men who selfishly serve us day after day, answering emergency calls and protecting us in situation along life's way. First responders strive to meet many needs with compassion and courage, performing heroic deeds. Experience a myriad of emotions each day. To our Skokie first responders, we humbly say, thank you for your service. You provide our village each and every day. We thank you. It is now my great honor to have the opportunity to begin the swearing-in ceremonies. When you begin to focus on the journey to become a lieutenant, it encompasses years of firefighting experience. The understanding of emergency management and administration procedures, which often involves supervising others and making split-second decisions. It also resonates leadership and overall outstanding performance. Steve Simmeru, please join me as you take the oath of this respected office.
And with our lieutenant is also our chief, Chief Hoffleck. Welcome, Chief.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I
Steve Simmeru,
do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America,
do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America,
State of Illinois,
State of Illinois,
the ordinances of the Village of Skokie,
the ordinances of the Village of Skokie,
and the rules and regulations of the Fire Department,
and the rules and regulations of the Fire Department,
and the Skokie Board of Fire and Police Commission,
and the Skokie Board of Fire and Police Commission,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of a fire lieutenant to the best of my ability.
of a fire lieutenant to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Anybody else? We have our own paparazzi. Lieutenant, can't get away. Hold on. You know the drill. Would you introduce your family and friends, please?
Yes, I have my wife Melissa, my daughter Lily, my son Thomas, they're all right up here in the front, my father Tom, my mom
Welcome.
Lucy, and my sister Julie. And then everybody else you see here.
Welcome.
Tonight, we also have the swearing in of our newest police officers. We invest our police officers with the authority to promote and keep the peace. They deserve our support and gratitude as they do their jobs. Eric Hadnot.
And Chief Scarpelli.
And Chief Scarpelli. Eric, repeat after me. Raise your right hand, please. I
I, Eric Hadnot,
do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America,
do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America,
State of Illinois,
State of Illinois,
the ordinances of the Village of Skokie,
the ordinances of the Village of Skokie,
and the rules and regulations
and the rules and regulations
of the Police Department
of the Police Department
and the Skokie Board of Fire and Police Commission,
and the Skokie Board of Fire and Police Commission,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of a police officer to the best of my ability.
of a police officer to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Okay, and Officer Hadnot, would you introduce your family and friends who are with you?
I'm actually by myself tonight.
You're solo.
Congratulations.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Okay. Joel, Eric, please join us.
School's my boy.
Joel, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I
I, Joel Eric,
do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America,
do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America,
State of Illinois,
State of Illinois,
the ordinances of the Village of Skokie,
the ordinances of the Village of Skokie,
and the rules and regulations
and the rules and regulations
of the Police Department
of the Police Department,
and the Skokie Board of Fire and Police Commission,
and the Skokie Board of Fire and Police Commission,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of a police officer to the best of my ability.
of a police officer to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
officer.
And Officer Eric,
Yes, sir.
family and friends?
Yes, sir. I actually have my friend Arun George right there. And then I also have my brother, and then my uncle, my mom, my sister, and my cousin.
How nice.
Terrific.
I just had a couple comments. I wanted to comment, both of our new officers are outstanding, recruits, and I wish them the best in their career. But there's some information about Joel Eric that I'd like to make everybody aware of. He grew up in Skokie. He went through Skokie schools. He was an explorer with the police department. He went through our Citizen Police Academy. And he was actually on another police department, and he chose us. So we're very pleased to have both of them. And he's
Terrific.
too humble to have said that.
Terrific to have you. And I would like to introduce the chairman of our Board of Fire and Police Commissions. Will Evans is with us. As Commissioner Levine put it so well, it is the men and women of our police and fire who every day don't only represent us so well with our own citizens, but also do the heavy lifting that is so difficult and dangerous. And just a little exemplary of that is that Lieutenant Nicholas Eschner, Lieutenant Michael Yan, and firefighter Scott Wallace shortly will be receiving the 100 Club of Chicago Valor Award. Battalion Chief Stephen Lakowski, who recently retired, as some of you may be aware, will make the presentation at the Chicago Cultural Center on April 25th, 2019, with a strong presence from the Village of Skokie Fire Department. You may recall that last November, all three of our officers were given the Skokie Fire Department Medal of Award for their courageousness and their selfless actions as they helped save the life of a Skokie resident. That is just an example of the kind of service that our officers give us. Every 3 years or so, we do a survey. We do it outside so that we don't prejudice at all. As you would expect, we are proud of our officers and all of our village departments. Every time we do the survey, it comes back that the approval rating of our police and fire departments is all in the 90th percentile. When is there anything else that is given an approval rating of 90% plus? Especially when you are charged with giving tickets to people for speeding. But as we travel around the village and we see the EMS, we see our police officers on patrol, I think we're all reminded of how very lucky we are to have you, and we want to thank you very much. We welcome our two new recruits, especially one who's familiar with the village already. And of course, we want to thank our new Lieutenant, Steve Semero, for his work. Thank you very much for everything. Why don't we take a short break so we can all congratulate our new lieutenant and our new officers, and also extend our congratulations for the 100 Club of Chicago Valor Award for our officers. Thank you very much. We'll take a short break.
Couple of minutes.
out the room. Welcome, everybody. Next item on the agenda is report of our village manager, John Lockerbie.
Thank you, Mayor Van Dusen and Village Board. Good evening to everyone. Item A is regarding a 100-day challenge to reduce the use of plastic bags. This evening, Jeannie Grossman, the chair of our Environmental and Sustainability Commission, as well as George Asaku, the staff liaison to that commission, are going to provide a presentation regarding this new initiative.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak to you tonight. Excuse me. As you may be aware, April 22nd is Earth Day, which is upon us next week. One of the objectives of the village's sustainability plan is to evaluate disincentives for plastic bag use at stores in the village. As a society, we use too much plastic. Plastic bags are a problem from their beginning to their end. Americans use 100 billion plastic bags a year. It takes 12 million barrels of oil to manufacture these bags. Since only 1% of plastic bags are recycled, these bags end up in our landfills or worse, in our oceans. 100,000 marine animals are killed every year from plastic bags. Even those bags that do make it to the landfill don't ever actually completely degrade. When they do break down, they turn into toxic microplastics that end up polluting our waters. The Commission recommended an active plan to tax the use of all single-use bags in the village. Although this plan is not moving forward, everyone acknowledges that we need to start somewhere. Therefore, we have decided to challenge the residents of Skokie to reduce or eliminate their use of plastic bags for 100 days, beginning this Earth Day, with the hope that in time people will begin to forge better habits regarding their plastic bag usage. And George is going to speak more about the initiative.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you for your time this evening. So as Jenny said, I'm going to quickly walk through what our challenge will entail. We're just kicking this off, and we're going to meet as a commission in a couple weeks to flesh out some more details and set dates, but we're very excited. The commission met last month, and we're really encouraged about the program, and so we're going to flesh this out over the next 100 days, but we have some exciting next steps ahead. So as Jenny mentioned, kickoff is next Monday, April 22nd for Earth Day, and the goal is going to be to promote the use of reusable bags and to reduce the use of plastic bags throughout the village. We want to try and get the behavior change going, and so that's part of the campaign focus. Jenny mentioned it's part of the sustainability plan. The commission did write in the plan that they have a focus on plastic bag reduction. And there's going to be, part of that will be these bag giveaways, which I'll get into in a second, and then also a poster campaign. So just some quick facts, just some context on why is this an important issue. This year, 5 trillion plastic bags will be used. That's 160,000 per second. That's a lot of bags. 100,000 marine animals are killed every year because of plastic bags. An estimated number of years for plastic bags to biodegrade in the landfill is 1,000. So all the work we try to do to divert things from our landfills and try to recycle, 1,000 years to biodegrade plastic bags. And only 1% of plastic bags are returned for recycling, which is another initiative that we're looking into also down the road as well. So this is a global issue, but we can certainly try and make a local impact and address behavior and try and make people more aware. So I mentioned the bags. I placed an example for you, a little giveaway. You're the first recipients of our bag giveaways today. So we bought about 500 or so of these, and we might get some more depending on how the program goes. So what the commission is going to do is go to some local stores around town and engage with residents, educate them, and give out bags and say, hey, when you go inside, here's one. Remember to use your bag and maybe skip the plastic bag. And so in a couple weeks, we're going to set a number of days throughout this 100-day challenge, and we're going to try and recruit more businesses and get more people involved as well. And then real quick, Katie Baldwin is here with the Litter Task Force. She's the owner of Culver's in town, and she had this great idea at the Litter Task Force as well to do a combination of what we're trying to do with the plastic bags, but also a litter reduction program. And the idea was, what if we got some posters out around checkout aisles and in restaurants to remind folks just generally to reduce the use of single-use items that are just tossed away. So here's the bag one. We're going to try and get these out, like I said, in checkout lines and in stores. Hey, take your receipt and skip the bag. Reduce, reuse, recycle, reminding folks the importance of trying to use a plastic bag. These might be a little bit changed. We're still finalizing them, but the general text and message is going to be the same. Will 1 or 2 napkins do? Please keep the earth in mind and take only what you need. This is an example at restaurants. You see a lot of people grabbing tons of napkins, maybe using one, but they've messed up the rest of them and leave them there, and they end up going in the garbage, or they end up in the worst in the parking lot or something like that. This happens a lot. And then the straw issue is a big one as well. Do you really need a straw, a lid, a bag? If not, ask to leave them out. So the example here, at a restaurant, people might say, assume that they should be getting a straw or whatever it is. If a restaurant says, do you need one? There's kind of this sentiment that maybe they're being cheap or the restaurant is not trying to give them something. So the idea is just realize that you can use less, you can try and avoid that, and that's what we're trying to get here. So again, we're still working on this. There's still going to be some more programs we're trying to roll out, but this is the general theme, and I think we're really excited about it. So between the task force and the commission, we think it's going to be really successful this summer. So any questions?
I just want to thank you both. I think it's fantastic rollout. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Jenny, would you introduce the members of your commission, past and present?
Jessica Beverly, who is no longer on the Sustainable Environmental Advisory Commission, and then
Katie Bulgren's on the litter task force.
Yes.
So we have representation from both groups, and that task force is working currently. For some background, their directive is to help mitigate litter throughout town and try to help litter abatement. And so they have a goal by June to create an action plan to begin addressing these issues. It's a multi-organizational group. We have residents in town, business owners, the schools are involved, the park district, us at the village. We're all working together to get that action plan going, and that group is making some great progress too. So.
And I might point out that over the weekend, we had 2 very nice events. One was with our Public Works Department. Eddie Bauer sponsored a tree planting ceremony that really was wonderful. It was just very well done. 40 to 50 people signed up to plant trees in the village. And then yesterday, of all days, we had the spring green, and in spite of a touch of inclement weather, we had approximately 800 cars with a variety of waste that needed to be disposed of in a specialized way. And at one point, when I was over there, I got a little concerned because the cars were backed up from all along Gulf Road, winding down north to Niles North High School. But I want to thank the Public Works Department, the Skokie Park District, our Chamber of Commerce, everybody who volunteered on such a terrible day. I'm sure there were a few sloshy shoes at the end of that day, but it was wonderful, and getting 800 cars was a real salute. So Jenny, George, Commission, Culvers, thank you for everything that you do. This is really a wonderful project. Yes, Trustee Sutker.
I have a question, maybe a comment, Jenny. I think a lot of the educational part about recycling plastic is there's like a disconnect. People say, well, I can use a plastic straw because I recycle it. Or I've heard from people too that you used to be able to put plastic bags in your recycle bin, and since it's changed and people don't understand why or what that means or what's changed unless you see these documentaries, where you see it all not being recycled. So can you explain a little bit of that to us tonight, or?
Sure.
I can speak to the plastic bag issue. For instance, in Skokie, last year we made the change. Previously, we had on there that plastic bags, your recycling could be put into your recycling cart with the plastic bag. And that was true because Lakeshore's machines actually in town, well, Lakeshore, the company that services town, their machines actually could break through those bags, and they technically could take them. However, across the Swank communities, Other places don't have, they prefer that you don't put plastic bags. So we're getting we wanted uniformity. We wanted that to be clear. And so you're right. That was a little bit of a hiccup where we had some people calling in saying, I'm used to putting my recyclables in plastic bags. We had to explain it's better for the recyclables to keep them, and for the actual process, to keep them loose in your container. And so that's a change that we made. And we try to get ahead of those changes and educate how we can. But you're absolutely right. We mentioned the instance at the restaurants where folks feel like, they can just recycle certain materials. And that's going to be a challenge constantly to try to get ahead of it, let people know what the changes are that we're making, and then explaining, why that is. And so opportunities like this are great to get in front of the residents and businesses if we can. We're going to be doing an education forum with the businesses in town soon as well, to let them know what services they have available to them and why recycling is important for them as well.
I mean, I got a plastic bag the other day from food that I ordered, and it says, please recycle this bag. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
At this point, you're not, you can reuse it, but the concept, I'm sorry.
No.
Just to add one more dimension to the conversation, currently there are a few grocery stores in town that allow you to recycle that plastic bag in a specific depository at that grocery store. Jewel, for example, has that. And so there are companies out there that actually utilize the single-use plastic bags for other materials. For example, Trex decking. The plastic decking is actually made partly from these plastic bags. And so when George was referring earlier to looking at, are there other ways to use these plastic bags, that's what we're pursuing. But as we sit here today, Jewel, for example, is one place where we can deposit those in customers.
What do they do with them?
They have companies that come and pick them up, and they utilize them in products like plastic decking.
I just feel like people don't understand.
Yeah, and it's something the plastic bag recycling, having Trex have a bigger presence in Skokie, have more options for people to recycle their plastic bags. It's something we have started looking into and are trying to get the logistics worked out and to be able to have, either in conjunction with other organizations that are already doing it, or to have the village spearhead it. Something we would love to be able to do. I don't know where that currently stands, but it's something that we're working on.
Because one of the things that people do know about taking it back to Jewel, but they'll tell me, but it's a pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm. And they're always full at Jewel.
Yeah. Excuse my language.
We'll try and believe it. Trustee Allred.
Well, most of my comments were already taken. But to your
Watch
comment,
your
Mayor.
language.
To your comment, Mayor, about spring cleaning yesterday, I just want to say winter is no longer coming. Winter is here. And only 443 days till, 243 days till spring. So I've talking to Jessica about deal about getting receptacles. Perhaps like the commission could kick around an idea about getting those placed in in spots like the village, or figure out how maybe we could do that. And so not just big box places has these receptacles as well. And I think it's kind of a disadvantage to ban them all completely, because it's, I think, discriminatory to the smaller stores. But to have more receptacles of all kinds of paper or that type of thing as well.
A lot of it is just a logistics issue. Either the stores having the space themselves to store that, or they've got to have somebody frequently come in and pick it up. And that's either a role that the village can step in and do, or the village can hire somebody to contract out to do it.
I think if it's financially feasible for us, if the commission can look and see if other communities have done that and how it works. So, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Item B is regarding a commercial corridor storefront enhancement program for 3301 Main Street, Dingios. Dingios has applied for funding under the commercial corridor storefront enhancement program. The owners of Dingios would like to renovate the location to implement aesthetic and functional improvements to the exterior and interior of the building. Exterior improvements would include the repair and replacement of existing awnings on the east side and the installation of new illuminated dimensional aluminum signage. Planned improvements to the interior include installation of a new high-efficiency HVAC system. Proposed design and architectural fees are included in the proposed application. Estimates for the interior work total approximately $26,000. Of that amount, $10,400 is deemed eligible for reimbursement. Exterior renovation costs are anticipated at $27,108, and $10,843 is deemed eligible for reimbursement, along with maximum architectural fees of $3,000. The total village grant will not exceed $24,243, which would be transferred to the owner following the completion of all work, final inspections, and submittal of all required documentation. Louis Altsave, thank you. One of the owners of Dengios is in the audience this evening. Mayor and board approval of a grant in amount not to exceed $24,243 is respectfully requested for Dengios Restaurant located at 3301 Main Street.
A motion to accept the manager's recommendation regarding the commercial corridor storefront enhancement program at 3301 Main Street is in order. Trustee Gray Keeler, seconded by Trustee Bromberg. Are there any comments or questions? Trustee Roberts.
As I told you earlier, Dengios is an institution of Skokie, and I always know I'm home when I'm coming down Main Street from Evanston, and I see your sign, and I think the $24,000 that we're giving you tonight is, you've probably given that back to the community tenfold over the years, if not more. So we appreciate you investing in your business, and keep up the good work. I hope maybe we can count on you to participate in the plastic bag campaign.
He has thoughts already.
I have a thought of that for you. The biggest problem that they're going to face, because I have paper bags and plastic, and for the big orders, I definitely go to paper all the time. It's triple the money. And especially for younger businesses that are struggling, the expenses from here to here.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem that they face.
Yeah.
Because if you give a customer a bag so he can bring the bag back, he forgets. He leaves it in his car, he leaves it in his home. This is the problem.
Yeah.
And that's the honest to God's truth. Like
Sure.
for the big orders, I refuse for them to use plastic. I always tell them to use paper. And those bags are like 10 times the price of the plastic.
Yeah.
Call the roll, please.
Trustee Roberts.
Aye.
Trustee Sutkar.
Say hi to Nick for me. Aye.
Trustee Ulrich.
Aye.
Trustee Bromberg.
Aye.
Trustee Klein.
Aye.
Trustee Gray Keeler.
Aye.
Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, the motion passes.
Item C is regarding the 2019 non-arterial street resurfacing program and Builders Paving LLC of Hillside, Illinois, for the cost of $3.6 million. This project provides for the resurfacing of approximately 6.4 miles of residential streets, which will include 34 streets and 2 oiled alleys within the village. Motor fuel tax, local fuel tax, and general funds will be used to fund the cost of the project. It is recommended that a contract be awarded to Builders Paving LLC, the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, in the amount of $3.6 million. This firm is pre-qualified by the Illinois Department of Transportation and has worked with the village on a number of resurfacing projects with satisfactory results. I concur with staff's recommendation and respectfully request mayor and board approval.
Motion on the manager's recommendation on the 2019 non-arterial street resurfacing program, a bid by Building Pavers LLC in the amount of $3.619808. Trustee Klein, seconded by Trustee Roberts. Trustee Roberts.
So, Eric, the amount that we're paying here, how does this weigh in about per mile, if you know? And if you give us a idea of, I think you're going to probably be the most popular or unpopular guy in the village with pothole season. What are some of the major state and county routes, if any, that are going to be done, and do you kind of coordinate this work with that?
Sure. So actually, we're doing a little bit bigger project. Skokie is than we did last year. This project is 6.4 miles. We have a high priority patching in the fall that will bump our total to about 7 miles. The prices, because this is a bigger project than we did last year, we have very good prices. The actual cost per mile went down. It's below $600,000. Last year we were at $625,000 a mile. This one's at $565,000. So because of our bigger scale of work, we're getting better prices. With regards to state projects, there's 3 of them, 3 resurfacing projects going on this year. They have one on Toohey Avenue. Last year they did sort of west of the expressway. This year they're doing one east of the expressway from Lincoln Avenue to about the Walmart. There's a project on Dempster. It's going to be, I think it's from Waukegan Road all the way to the new Target to Bronx resurfacing. And then Niles Center Road's going to go on from Toohey up to Church Street. So the state has some major projects. We look at that when we're working. We try to avoid areas where they're at. Last year with the water main project through town, we sort of avoided it. We're going to come in around a lot of those streets this year and sort of fix up what needs to be done there.
Is there any work planned for Oakton Street at all?
Oakton Street, well, most of Oakton Street west of Skokie Boulevard, where it's probably the worst, I would say, is county. We're on the phone with county pretty regularly about that. I'm actually going down to county next week they have a overall program with all their projects for the year. We do mention Oakton Street quite a bit. So that, and actually there's another county, Church Street west of Grosse Pointe Road is in pretty bad shape too. So those are the 2 bad county streets right now.
Maybe give them a personal message from Trustee Sucker that
okay, I will.
To do Oakton Street.
I will.
Call the roll, please.
Trustee Roberts.
Aye.
Trustee Sutker.
Aye.
Trustee Ulrich.
Aye.
Trustee Bromberg.
Aye.
Trustee Klein.
Aye.
Trustee Gray Keeler.
Aye.
Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, the motion passes.
Item D is regarding a request for executive session. Pursuant to Section 2, Paragraph C2 of the State of Illinois Open Meetings Act, a closed session is requested and to adjourn therefrom.
Motion is in order. Trustee Roberts, seconded by Trustee Gray Keeler. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Roberts.
Aye.
Trustee Sutker.
Aye.
Trustee Ulrich.
Aye.
Trustee Bromberg.
Aye.
Trustee Klein.
Aye.
Trustee Gray Keeler.
Aye.
Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, the motion passes.
And that completes my report this evening.
Thank you. Next item is report of our Corporation Counsel this evening. Barbara Mangler.
I'm just a poor substitute. Thank you, Mayor. Items A, B, and C have previously been adopted on the consent agenda. Item D is a resolution approving a plat of subdivision for the property located at 9444 Abers Avenue. This is in an R1 single-family district, and this is for the purpose of consolidating 2 lots into 1. I would respectfully request a motion for approval.
Motion is in order on the plat of subdivision as recommended by the Corporation Counsel. Trustee Klein, seconded by Trustee Gray Keeler. Are there any comments or questions? If there are none, call the roll, please.
Trustee Roberts.
Aye.
Trustee Sutker.
Aye.
Trustee Ulrich.
Aye.
Trustee Bromberg.
Aye.
Trustee Klein.
Aye.
Trustee Gray Keeler.
Aye.
Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, the motion passes.
Item E on the Corporation Council's agenda tonight is an ordinance which will amend Chapter 14, Article 3 of the Skokie Village Code by defining electronic sweepstakes machines and prohibiting the use thereof. Due to the proliferation of these sweepstakes machines, which have been seen throughout the state of Illinois, clarification has been necessary in the village code to address them. Several other municipalities, such as Oak Park, Mundelein, and Flossmoor, have also amended their municipal codes to specifically prohibit these machines. This ordinance is up for first reading tonight and will be up for second reading on the May 6, 2019 agenda.
Are there any comments or questions at this time? If not, it will be on the agenda for May 6, 2019.
Yep. That concludes the report.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda are 5 Plan Commission reports. And I don't see Paul Luke, but we do have Peter Pyer.
Yes, Chairman Luke
Evening.
is in San Francisco, so he's
Oh, nice.
attending the American Planning Association Conference. So, yeah, it's difficult. Somebody had to do it.
Question is, Peter, why aren't you in San Francisco?
The young guys have to have a chance to.
I'm not going there.
I meant to learn new things. Hey, well, thank you, Mayor. Tonight, at the March 21st, 2019 Plan Commission meeting, there were 5 cases, and they were approved regarding the redevelopment of a 4.5 acre site. I can go through all the addresses, but really it's at the northeast corner of Hamlin Avenue and Toohey Avenue, except for the gas station, which is at the corner here. So everything around it. I'm going to take the cases a little out of order, but they were all heard at one time, and then they were voted on separately. In case 2019-04P, it's a request for site plan approval, and the request is for this 4-acre land for the planned development, which includes a multi-unit building, which is over here, Bona Beef Restaurant, and a industrial building that's being reused, and that's going to be a medical clinic. And in between, there's a common area for parking. They also requested relief for wall signs, which face into the parking lot as well as to the streets. Related cases are 2019-02P, which is a zoning map amendment, and that's to rezone the property from M3 to B2 commercial. There's a subdivision. There currently are 5 lots, but there will become 4 lots. Each one of the buildings will be on a separate lot, and the parking will become its own lot, which is the common area. There's also going to be dedication of land along Toohey Avenue for the extension of the bike path, which is on Toohey, and along Chase Avenue to extend the sidewalk in that area and realign it properly with the Walmart and the neighboring property sidewalk. The special use permit is for the limited service restaurant, the Buna Restaurant. It'll have a 2-lane drive-through, which will be here. It'll be on the north side and come around on the west side. And that will have stacking for 17 cars. It'll have 2 order boards, and it'll have 3 spaces where people can wait for their orders if they're delayed. And the final case is case 2019-06P, and that's for the outdoor dining, which is located to the south of the building, and that can only be accessed through the restaurant, and it's by the door, and it'll have 20 seats for patrons. The discussion at the meeting was primarily about concerns about traffic on Hamlin and Toohey, and also access. The petitioners were able to get an agreement to connect this development with the Walmart development so that the traffic light could be accessed, which will make it very easy to get access and out to Toohey Avenue and take the pressure off of Hamlin Avenue. They also were discussions about whether there would be proper trash containers, pickup, and things like that. And those are all covered within the conditions for the site plan approval and special uses. The Appearance Commission approved the cases in 2 different nights, on June 13th, 2018, and then also March 13th, 2019. So the outbuildings were approved at different times, and also the building over here, which is a reused industrial building, which will become the medical facility. The recommendation on all 5 cases was to approve the cases, and they were on unanimous votes and positive findings of fact. And there was also a condition put in which was added on that stated that an additional condition was added to the site plan approval which states that tenant choices on the part of the developer do not constitute a hardship for the purpose of zoning variances or relief. And that sounds kind of strange, but the point is that the petitioner makes decisions on what the tenants are, and each tenant has a different parking requirement or could have a different parking requirement. So if the buildings are filled up with restaurants, then there may be some spaces that'll have to be left open because there is inadequate parking on the site. Also, the medical building, for instance, has a much higher requirement for handicap parking. And even though the parking requirement is met, when the new handicap accessibility requirements from the state are implemented, it may be that there could be a shortage of parking, and so some space, again, would have to be decommissioned or not used.
Because we have 5 separate motions and votes, rather than ask for a motion and then begin voting, does anybody have any questions on the overall plan at this time? Trustee Sucker.
Are you talking about on the special use? Not yet?
No. I just think it would be a lot easier if anybody has any questions whatsoever, bring them up now, and then we'll go through the
Okay,
votes.
so I have a question on the special use permit with the 2-lane drive-through.
Yes.
So I hate that 2-lane drive-through at McDonald's because people don't know what they're doing. Not that I eat McDonald's, but I've heard so many complaints, and it worries me because people don't know how to maneuver with the 2 lanes, and it's not always very safe.
Yeah, it's a very similar situation.
That's what I
How
thought.
they work, and they're throughout the United States. I don't know any solution to it. I mean, it's a matter of courtesy, which often is a difficult situation. But
And knowing to go into the other lane.
Right.
When it's backing up the first lane, and then somebody who does go into the lane, there's road rage because they say, "What are you doing?" Thinking that they're budging in front of them. It's just not always an easy setup.
I understand. There's not an easy solution to it. It really would not work if it was a single lane. It would stack outside the stacking area. But yes, as he said, both McDonald's have it. I do eat at McDonald's, and I haven't had a problem, but I understand that others have.
Okay, it's just something to watch out for with the management.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Klein.
Is there ingress and egress on to Tui? Or from Tui?
There's a drive here, a direct drive.
Okay, that is a drive.
Yes.
Are we going to be allowing left-hand turns, or is it going to be a right turn only kind of thing?
That, I believe, would be open to both directions. However, it would be a question of whether there's gaps or not. And I can show you better. Actually, it looks like it's, so here you have the whole site. And what we're really encouraging is that this driveway be used, and that people go out on the Tui by the light over here. This is the other drive from Walmart, so this could be an outlet also, but it's only a right hand and has a pork chop in here. This actually is a 2-way, and then Hamlin Avenue is full access also.
Because Hamlin gets very congested down there.
At different times, yes.
Yeah, but tremendously, especially coming from Howard. I'm very well familiar with this area. So that is a concern that I would have with the traffic flow, especially you have two drive, well, Hamlin and then a drive trying to turn left. And I hate to see an intersection like that, being made. I worry about the consequences. And I have one other question for you, Peter. On the 7227 Hamlin and the property to the east, I noticed a very big grade difference. Is that going to be how is that being addressed? Are we going to fill that in?
There is a great difference over by the Walmart, and then it starts to come down. And here should be.
Right, but right where you showed that thing, there was a, go to your right, my right there. There is, between those properties is a very, substantial grade difference.
Well, that'll be engineered out. I mean, right now, they took down a building.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of differences there, from the foundations and everything that were removed, but it should be all right.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Trustee Roberts.
So it's kind of a different type of development in the sense that you have a retail restaurant, do we know what the non-medical building, do we know any of the tenants at this point? And I know there was some note in the record about possible Lurie's Children's Hospital having a potential clinic in the medical building, is that?
Right. That has been confirmed, and this is the building itself. And what they're going to do is they're going to tear down the northern portion of the existing industrial building to have more parking there. And then the entrance will be to the side of the building in one of these areas. And then the restaurant.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
That's their typical design. And this is the multi-tenant building. And part of the discussion is that the building is finished on all sides, even though the primary entrance is on the north side.
So, Peter, could you help me understand the condition you read about the parking? So there was a parking study that there's, 260 parking spots that
Well, yes.
could satisfy, but it depends on, the parking ratios depend on what type of businesses are going to be in the different buildings, right?
Right.
You kind of know what the restaurant's going to be, but you don't, and we think one's going to be a medical use. But, so, how would the parking issue be worked out in the future as the uses become more determined? And do you foresee that this is adequate at this point for the parking?
Yeah, it looks like it. The building here, the multi-use building, has a portion that's called shown as a restaurant, and here's retail. And what might happen is that as the medical building is looked at and then the actual number of handicap parking spaces are determined, then it might be that they might have to eliminate the restaurant in that building and have total retail. Or if it's even, maybe they do have the retail, but they hold off a portion of, or it may be they may have the restaurant portion on the east or west and keep a portion of the retail open for a while. Or they might look for a use such as a furniture store, which has a much lower parking requirement. In the past, mattress stores were the option to go to. And that's what happened on Toohey Avenue, where the Jack's Corner development was. The shopping center was all sold out and had all the spaces taken, and then the mattress store went out of business, and the owner realized that he didn't have enough parking to put a regular retail use in it. So he's having a very difficult time filling it up now.
But as it looks now, you feel that the planning commission felt that there was adequate parking?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, we have 5 votes, so we'll take them in order as it is on the agenda. Plan Commission case 2019-02, zoning map amendment 3720 Toohey Avenue and 7227 Hamlin Avenue. Motion is in order. Trustee Ulrich, seconded by Trustee Roberts. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Roberts.
Aye.
Trustee Sutker.
Aye.
Trustee Ulrich.
Aye.
Trustee Bromberg.
Aye.
Trustee Klein.
Aye.
Trustee Gray Keeler.
Aye.
Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, the motion passes. Next is item B, Plan Commission case 2019 37-03P, subdivision 3720 Toohey Avenue, 7227 Hamlin Avenue, and 3721 Chase Avenue. Trustee Gray Keeler, seconded by Trustee Klein. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Roberts.
Aye.
Trustee Sutker.
Aye.
Trustee Ulrich.
Aye.
Trustee Bromberg.
Aye.
Trustee Klein.
Aye.
Trustee Gray Keeler. Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, the motion passes. C, Plan Commission Case 2019-04P, Site Plan Approval, Toohey Hamlin Commercial Development. Motion is in order. Trustee Ulrich, seconded by Trustee Roberts. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Roberts.
Aye.
Trustee Sutker.
Aye.
Trustee Ulrich.
Aye.
Trustee Bromberg.
Aye.
Trustee Klein.
Aye.
Trustee Gray Keeler.
Aye.
Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, the motion passes. D, Plan Commission Case 2019-05P, Special Use Permit 3754 Toohey Avenue, Limited Service Restaurant with Drive-Through. Motion is in order. Trustee Gray Keeler, seconded by Trustee Klein. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Roberts.
Aye.
Trustee Sutker.
Aye.
Trustee Ulrich.
Aye.
Trustee Bromberg.
Aye.
Trustee Klein.
Aye.
Trustee Gray Keeler.
Aye.
Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, the motion passes. And concluding, E, Plan Commission Case 2019-06P, Special Use Permit 3754 Toohey Avenue, Outdoor Dining. Motion, Trustee Roberts, seconded by Trustee Ulrich. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Roberts.
Aye.
Trustee Sutker.
Aye.
Trustee Ulrich.
Aye.
Trustee Bromberg.
Aye.
Trustee Klein.
Aye.
Trustee Gray Keeler.
Aye.
Mayor Van Dusen.
Aye, the motion passes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you,
Sorry,
Peter.
I didn't introduce our, the actual petitioners are out here in the audience, just to say.
Welcome.
Congratulations.
It's a great project. We look forward to it. Thank you very much for being here this evening. The concluding item this evening, citizen comments.
Hi, Jessica Beverly, 8451 Drake Avenue. I wrote out my statement. The plastic bags, I wanted to cycle back. It's something I'm really passionate about, and I know you have executive session and you want to go home. So, based upon hours of research and many meetings, the Sustainable Environment Advisory Commission recommended a plastic bag fee and drafted a memorandum to Michael Lorge, the mayor, and John Lockerbie. And I've brought copies of the memo that was unanimously approved, if you guys want to take a look. It was like the last thing that we did before I moved on to the zoning board. So studies have shown that psychologically people use less plastic when they have to pay a fee, and there's a measurable decline in consumption. From a public policy standpoint, excuse me, this is the most effective way for a municipality to discourage plastics and encourage personal responsibility. While the Litter Task Force and the marketing campaign against plastics is encouraging, there's a lot more that we can do from a community policy perspective to imprint upon our citizens and our children that we are each personally responsible for leaving the planet a better place for the next generation. And the studies are out there. There's tons of research. Jenny and I have spent hours poring over municipal research from the state of California, Washington, D.C., Austin, Seattle. It's everywhere. All of these places, including Oak Park, Evanston, Chicago, have concluded that these policies and this public policy is effective at reducing consumption and waste. So if you guys want to reach out, we'd be happy to present to the board, give you more information, explain our research. Jenny and I are pretty available in the evenings. Thanks.
Well, we have looked into it. These kinds of ordinances are best when it's done statewide. That way it doesn't put our business at a competitive disadvantage. The state of Illinois currently has 3 bills that it appears one version or a combination of the 3 will be passed this session. There's one in the House, one in the Senate, and there is also one roaming around in the governor's office. Through the Solid Waste Agency, we're aware that the governor's office is going to be hosting a meeting with the sponsors in both the House and the Senate to negotiate a bill. From what we understand, the prospects are favorable that there is going to be statewide legislation. And that's much more preferable than having Skokie pass a bill and then Lake Forest pass a bill and some other. I think one of the things we all learned from the minimum wage debate was that it works when it's done statewide with the support of all the municipalities. And that is what the Solid Waste Agency is trying to do. There are 23 municipalities in the agency, and we are encouraging our legislators to come up with a statewide program. There seems to be quite a bit of support in both the House and the Senate. Hopefully, they are going to be able to come to a resolution. The sponsor in the Senate has had his bill in for, I think it's 5 sessions now, if I remember correctly, and he believes this is the best chance he's had. So we will keep on it, and we appreciate the background that you've given it. I've shared it with the executive director at the Solid Waste Agency, and I think we have an agreement among the 23 municipalities at the agency. So we're encouraging the legislature and the governor. It's a question of the economics of it, as far as what fees are they going to attach to it.
Right.
That's where the differences are in the bill.
Most of the environmental action groups in Illinois oppose the House version and support the Senate version. They're both stuck in committee and not making any progress right now.
Actually, they are making progress.
Okay. They just had they had a hearing, we did witness slips, but yeah.
Yes, Senator Link believes that he's making progress, and the governor's office has asked both the House and the Senate to meet and see if they can't come up with an agreed-upon bill, and we are participating in that. So.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hi, Camry Kuhn, 5206 Sherwin Avenue, Skokie, Illinois. First of all, I'm really excited and want to commend the mayor and the village trustees for your leadership on the Earth Day proclamation, just following up what Jessica and the advisory commission has already talked about earlier today. I realize that there are certain recommendations that are more readily feasible than others, with that being education and also the village-wide plastic bag recycling program. I think are probably easiest to implement. And one thing I did want to state for the record is that as a commissioner with the Skokie Park District, I'd like to see how it is that we can also partner with the village as well to make that possible. And so I'm welcome and open to any channels so that I can understand how I can personally contribute, as well as how the Park District can be a partner in being able to put together a village-wide plastic recycling program. We talked a little bit about the retailers such as Jewel that has places where people can drop off, but having more education, knowing that there has to be a separate place for the recycling of the plastic bags, and then where to go to and having more available, whether it being through certain Park District locations, through the village locations, just having it more widespread within the village, I think would be really helpful as well to making it successful. I know that the commission, the advisory committee has also been in contact with a group out in Evanston that has already set up a model for how they have been doing it. And so that's something that we'd love to explore as well in terms of how we'd be able to put something together for Skokie and how we could partner together as well.
What I would suggest would be have the Park District call our Public Works Department.
Okay.
We welcome partners everywhere, just call our Public Works Department.
Okay, all right.
That's all.
Okay. I know that there's been some initial conversation already between.
There has been.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Trustee Bromberg, I think.
Adjourn for executive session.
Thank you.